Good morning. Today we're releasing some body-worn camera video from two recent incidents where Minneapolis police officers used force that resulted in the death of an individual. The first incident occurred on May 30th. The second incident occurred on June 12th. Minnesota law requires that all police departments and sheriff's offices make body-worn camera publicly available no later than 14 days following the use of a deadly force incident. The law also allows for the involved agency to make appropriate redactions of those videos in order to protect the public's identities and or to blur images that may be offensive to common sensibilities. Law also requires footage to be made available to certain individuals upon request, which it was. It's important to note that these videos are both parts of active criminal investigations. These are investigations that I have requested the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension conduct. Although I'll open it up for a few questions once we have watched the videos, please know that any detailed information about the incidents must come from the BCA. I cannot and will not provide much more information about either of these cases other than what I already have. Two other things before we play these videos. First, as you may know, the BCA last week requested that I temporarily withhold releasing the videos from the May 30th incident. The BCA felt the release of those body-worn camera videos at that time could hinder their ongoing criminal investigation, which I'm sure, as many of you are aware, is very complex from that incident. I honored that request. Yesterday, I had a conversation with the superintendent of the BCA regarding the importance of the release of these videos. We came to an agreement where they are now comfortable with making these videos publicly available in the way in which we are doing here this morning. Lastly, we decided to release the videos from the June 12th incident at the same time today because my approach has been and will always be to make these videos available as soon as we possibly can, as fast as is appropriate. And we have no further investigative reason for delay in the June 12th case. There's a saying that's popular in law enforcement and certain military training circles that's attributed to a Greek poet. And that is, we do not rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. I'm thankful for the level of training that the Minneapolis police officers involved in these incidents displayed, confronting both an active shooter and another armed individual who was actively threatening members of our community. MPD policy and training emphasizes the sanctity of human life, and it emphasizes using de-escalation whenever possible. The reality is this happens in our police department almost every single day. We took more than 1,000 illegal guns off the street each of the last 2 years. And there are multiple examples of armed suspects being safely taken into custody even since these incidents. But unfortunately, and sometimes very tragically, police officers cannot talk every armed individual into handcuffs that does not want to go back to jail. That's just the reality of being in law enforcement today, in a society that has so many illegal guns on our streets. I believe the actions displayed by our officers in these incidents were reasonable and necessary, considering the threats that were being posed. Our police officers performed courageously to protect our community. And with that being said, I'm going to play the videos from both incidents and then keep some questions at the end.
512. Look like we have at least 2 victims outside at the location bleeding.
512 copy.
Hey, are we up? Hey! Who shot you? Who shot you? Are there victims inside?
They're starting to Green shirt, right? Right there, right there. 321, we got the mail. He's going southbound on Hiawatha now.
Police! Stop! Stop! Police, stop! Stop! You're under arrest! Stop! Stop! Police, stop! Now! Gun! Gun! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop the fucking gun! 321 shots fired! Drop the gun! Drop the gun now! Tactical reload! Do not reach for it! Do not reach! Got it! I got it! I got it!
Hey. All right, I got air.
Get the air!
Green shirt, right? Right there. 321, we got the mail. He's going southbound on Hiawatha now.
Police! Stop! Stop!
Okay. So these videos will be posted on the City of Minneapolis website today, and they will also be available upon request. More information, more detailed information regarding both of these incidents will be released by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension at the appropriate time in the future. With that being said, I'll open it up and do my best at answering questions.
Are you able to say any more about whether in the May 30th shooting Mohammed was actually injured? Do you believe it was a total ambush and he wasn't injured at all? What can you say about that?
I'm not able to comment on that. That would have to be referred to the BCA. Yep.
So the videos on the second incident seem to show a lot more, I guess, versus on the Officer Mitchell video stops before the shot is fired. How much after the video stops, how long after that was the shot, or how many,
Yep.
many shots were, and what, God, I don't know what you should or shouldn't do, but can you explain the decision to stop it there?
Yep. So Officer Mitchell's video is not required to be released under the statute. Officer Mitchell never even had a chance to draw his handgun. My purpose in releasing the video up until that point is just to give some context to what he walked into. And you all know through everything else that's been released publicly, what he believed he was confronting at the time. Like, he thought he was arriving at the initial report of a shooting, which was probably more than a block away. And then you see him communicate on the video, having two people down. He thought he was at the point of the original call, which we know now he was not. And you also know from all of the intervening 911 transcripts that have been released, there was just a lot of confusing information that was happening, and you think you can see some of that confusion as the officers are trying to figure out, were there additional shooters and so on. But that being said, I do believe there's a slide in the middle where we reference there's about 3 minutes in between where Officer Mitchell is shot. And while there is continuing 911 calls reporting that this individual is still shooting at people, and then when the first officer arrives with body-worn camera video, and then you see by that point the fire department is there, and we know there was a firefighter also injured by this. Yeah.
But having seen the unredacted video, does the shot happen right after where the video stops for us?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Whether the suspect continued to shoot even after Officer Mitchell?
Correct. Yes. And that's consistent with various 911 calls. Yeah.
Can you say how many rounds the suspect fired in the video?
I do not know. Yeah. I don't know.
Chief, you already mentioned that there's lots of release these videos.
Mhm.
Do you hope that people watching at home will see these?
Well, I think perhaps unfairly, I think there is an expectation that body-worn camera video would be a panacea. That we're going to get one video or a couple videos and everybody can just understand what happens in the incident. And I think as we see from looking at multiple videos from different angles, there's significant limitations on what a body-worn camera video will show. It's only one particular perspective, and it's not the whole story. And there's reasons why we wanted to slow down the video so that the public could actually see. We could try and point out things that are in the video that may not be readily apparent to people. And I think in general, people do not appreciate sort of the complexity of responding to these incidents. These are legitimate emergencies, especially when you're going into a report of an active shooter with multiple people shot and an officer down. But even in the second incident, where there's an individual that's armed, that there's now multiple 911 calls where members of the community have felt threatened. And I think people need to understand, try to understand from an officer's perspective, how that you have to react and how you have to perform. Our members were running, so their heart rates are up, their breathing is up. They're trying to decipher information that's being relayed via 911 calls that can sound confusing or even conflicting at times. And you're trying to, all the while, control your breathing and stay calm so that you can communicate clearly and do your job. And I think particularly with an active shooter or anyone that's armed with a handgun that's threatening members of the public, the officers have to act as quickly as possible, and make decisions as quickly as possible. We've seen in episodes around the country where officers have not done that in active shooter incidents, and there's been very deadly consequences, and the officers are called cowards after the fact. At the same time, because they didn't act fast enough, at the same time, if you act too quickly and make decisions too quickly, you can make a mistake that can be fatal even to yourself. So these are particularly challenging situations, and I just hope the public in general can appreciate that, and appreciate again that even with these videos, there's still so much more information and so many questions that everybody here still has that will need to be answered once the full investigations are complete.
Related to the May 30th incident, I saw 5 very somber faces up there watching it. Can you describe how difficult it is for y'all to watch that video and whether it's easy to the one watching it?
I've said consistently, Jamal, was absolutely exceptional, but he was not the exception. He represents the very best of the men and women in this profession, in this state, and around the country. And I think it's clear from his video, all Jamal was doing was trying to help somebody he thought was shot and in need of aid, in need of care. He did absolutely nothing wrong, and he was very suddenly and without provocation ambushed and assassinated. I know our officers continue to struggle as they go through that, because we all know, we've all been in those situations where you're just getting out of the car trying to help somebody, and we all know that could have been any one of us. And then at the same time, we're all deeply concerned for Jamal's children, for his family, who have also suffered through this. So no, it doesn't get easier. Yep.
Chief, on that note, it might be easy to say that everybody's going to keep doing their job the same way they do, but after something like that happens, is it harder for officers to jump out of a car when there's not backup and go help somebody, when the thought has to get back to the mind that it could be an ambush? And have you specifically talked about that aspect of it with officers?
Well, I think it's important, and there's been an emphasis on mental health and providing mental health services available, not just for the officers that are involved, the officers that witness, coworkers, but trying to make that as available as widely as possible and encouraging all members to participate in that. That being said, there are literally multiple examples, even in the first few days after Jamal was murdered. I can think of one offhand where an officer in a single car, I watched the video, approached an individual that was intoxicated, armed with a handgun, pulled out the gun, and the officer, thank God, the officer was able to, take the person down, disarm him, and make an arrest. But our officers are, and there's other instances that we've posted on Facebook. There was an incident downtown, the days are blending together, I don't know, a week or two ago on the weekend, late at night, 2 individuals were committing robberies. They were armed. A 17-year-old was running from the police, turned back towards the police armed, and came around the corner armed, still gun in hand, not dropping it, with other people on the street being threatened. And again, thank God, that incident, these other incidents that people never hear about, are safely resolved. The reality is the officers are doing their job. They're doing it incredibly, incredibly well. And I'm so thankful for them, because I know the difference is they have to face their kids, they have to face their wives, their husbands, their family members every day, kiss them goodbye, thinking in the back of their mind, that could have been me in 512 car on May 30th.
Chief, has the May 30th incident changed the way the public picture faces with your officers at all? Have you noticed any difference in how they've had either possible?
I have noticed an absolutely overwhelming amount of support and love from random people, random residents, especially down in the neighborhood of the 5th Precinct. I spent a lot of time there each night over the last few weeks. just literally hundreds of people came up. Many did not know Jamal, and just offering support, bringing flowers, bringing food, and just offering support in general for the officers. And what's really, one of the things that's really moving about that is, you know, it's not just, and many people did have stories of acquaintances, specifically with Jamal, friendships and so on, but a lot of people, it was just totally random. Many people didn't even speak English. Many people were walking up from the local neighborhood after working 12 hours, 14 hours, and then standing there and praying with us for another 2 hours. It's been very, very moving and humbling. And I think, frankly, our officers needed to see the love and support that does exist that they just don't get to see. Because the reality is, you know, people don't call 911 when everything's fine and happy. They call when there's an emergency, and that's when we show up, oftentimes when people are at their worst. And since the department is so small, they tend to go from, you know, bad thing to bad thing, you know, call to call to call like that, and they don't get a chance to see folks in this situation. So as challenging, as terrible, as tragic as it is, that has been something I think that is helping a lot of us heal. Yes. Yeah, there are plans. I don't have anything specific. There's a lot of different groups that are interested in doing things and honoring him in different ways, but I don't have any specific information.
Chief, there are some people that will make this simply a gun issue. You mentioned before the efforts to take illegal guns off the streets. We know that during the pandemic, more people were buying guns.
Yes.
There's just simply more guns out there.
Absolutely.
How does that play into policing efforts? I'm curious if you can speak candidly about over the course of your career, have you seen the impact of there simply being more guns allowed?
I mean, there's no question. It's a different context in Minnesota than it is in the Northeast. There is definitely, but the same thing that happened in Minnesota happened in the Northeast and in states all over the country. In 2020, lawful sales of weapons, handguns, skyrocketed, which then we see the result of just having more guns in circulation means more people have access to guns, and there's more guns available to be stolen. And I think in particular, you know, what we've seen here is that there's a shorter time period now from when there is a lawful purchase to when a gun winds up involved in a crime. And I think that speaks to just the number of guns that are available to be stolen. Sometimes we have, you know, around 24 reports a week of guns being stolen just in the city. And we know that leads to all sorts of tragedies, more suicides, more guns available when someone's intoxicated in the heat of a moment to use it. So yeah, it's a problem that has driven so much community violence in Minneapolis since really June of 2020 is when it kind of went through the roof here. And a lot of folks, a lot of families have been torn apart of it. A lot of people in neighborhoods, you know, have been deeply affected by it. A lot of children in neighborhoods where this gun violence concentrates have been deeply, deeply impacted upon it. And that's why it's, you know, the number of shootings, people who are willing to pull triggers out here is our utmost priority with both all of our law enforcement partners at every level, but also all of our community-based partners that are willing to help us and willing to try and help us, you know, prevent some of this.
Can you shed a little bit more light on the original motive of the initial double homicide on May 30th for preventative?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot. That would have to come from the BCA. I just think it's very clear, though, from the 911 transcripts, there was that's a complicated investigation. Yeah, it's not simple.
Chief, in the second instance, the gun was jammed. Do you think that suspect was trying to fire the gun? Also, in the first instance, the gun eventually jammed too. Do you think that he would have fired more shots if not for that?
I don't know. There's a lot more, at least in the first May 30th incident. I know there's a lot more video available. There's a lot more witnesses that were there. You even see folks on scene. Both guns in both cases were jammed. My understanding is two different types of jams, but both cases were jammed. I think I don't want to speculate any further than that, though. Yep. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.